5 minutes after I signed my divorce papers, everything I thought I knew about my life collapsed and rebuilt itself at the same time. My name is Emily Carter. I am 34 years old, and I have 2 children who mean everything to me. At exactly 10:07 in the morning, I ended my 9-year marriage to Daniel, the man who once promised I was his entire world. There were no raised voices, no dramatic scenes, just a heavy silence that settled deep in my chest as the mediator pushed the final document toward me. Daniel barely looked at the paper before scribbling his name like it meant nothing. His attention was already somewhere else, locked onto his phone as if the life we built together had already been erased. Then his phone rang, sharp and loud in the quiet room, and he answered without hesitation. His voice softened instantly, dripping with affection that I had not heard in years. He said he was done and heading over, mentioning how the whole family would be there to celebrate their future. From the corner of the room, his sister Olivia let out a quiet laugh, her expression full of satisfaction as she looked at me like I was already forgotten. She muttered that it was about time he moved on to a real woman, someone who could give him a son. Another relative added that no one wanted a woman who came with 2 children. Their words hung in the air, cruel and deliberate, but I refused to react. Instead, I calmly placed the house keys on the table and reached into my bag. I pulled out 2 passports and set them down with a steady hand, my voice even as I spoke. I told Daniel that the kids and I were leaving for Paris that very day, and that everything had already been arranged. His face twisted in disbelief as he asked how I could possibly afford something like that. Before I could respond, a sleek black car stopped outside the building, and a driver stepped out, addressing me respectfully and informing me that everything was ready. The shock on Daniel's face was almost satisfying, but I did not linger on it. I picked up Mia and Leo, holding them close as I told him quietly that we would no longer be in his way. Without waiting for a response, I walked out of the room and into the sunlight, leaving behind everything that had once defined my life. The moment the car door closed, the driver handed me a thick envelope, and I knew exactly what it contained. Inside were documents that told a story Daniel never thought I would uncover. Bank transfers, hidden properties, private messages, all carefully collected over months. My attorney, Jonathan Reed, had done his job perfectly. A message from him appeared on my phone confirming that everything was in motion, including a critical appointment that would expose the truth Daniel had been hiding behind his perfect image. At that same moment, Daniel and his entire family were gathered in one of the most expensive fertility clinics in New York. His mistress, Victoria, sat proudly in a designer outfit, her hand resting on her small baby bump as if it were a trophy. His mother hovered over her, calling her the future of the family, while Olivia handed over expensive supplements, already talking about raising a strong and successful boy. They laughed together, planning a future that did not include me or my children. When the ultrasound began, Daniel stood beside Victoria, holding her hand with a smile that used to belong to me. The technician moved the device carefully, studying the screen with a growing sense of concern. The room slowly grew quiet as the doctor was called in, and attention settled over everyone. Daniel asked what was wrong, his voice edged with impatience as if he expected everything to go exactly as planned. The doctor examined the screen closely before speaking in a calm but firm tone that changed everything in an instant. He explained that based on the measurements, the baby had been conceived at least 5 weeks earlier than the timeline they had provided. The words hit the room like an explosion. Daniel's face lost all color as he tried to process what he was hearing, while Victoria immediately began to deny it, insisting there had to be a mistake. The doctor shook his head, explaining that the difference was too significant to be an error. This child had been conceived long before Victoria had claimed to be with Daniel. The room descended into chaos as accusations flew in every direction. Olivia shouted in disbelief. Daniel's mother clutched her chest in shock, and Daniel turned toward Victoria with a look of pure rage, demanding to know the truth she could not give him. As the situation spiraled out of control, Daniel's phone rang again, but this time the call brought a different kind of disaster. His chief financial officer spoke in a panicked voice, explaining that several major clients had just terminated their contracts after receiving disturbing internal information. The financial losses were massive, and the damage to his company was already spreading faster than it could be contained. Before he could even react, another call came through, this time from the bank. All of his accounts had been frozen under an emergency court order filed in my name. That was the moment everything finally clicked for him. The calm way I had signed the divorce papers, the prepared passports, the car waiting outside, all of it had been part of a plan he never saw coming. He thought I was broken, but I had been preparing for this moment for months. Back at the airport, I sat by the window with Mia and Leo, watching as the plane lifted into the bright summer sky. Leo leaned against me and quietly asked if his father would come to see us. I held him close and kissed his forehead, telling him that we were starting a new life, just the three of us. It was not just an answer for him, it was a promise I made to myself. Far behind us, Daniel's world was falling apart piece by piece. The illusion he had built with lies and betrayal was gone, replaced by consequences he could not escape. While he stood there trying to hold on to what remained, I was already moving forward toward a future he would never be a part of. In the end, it was not the doctor's words that destroyed everything. It was my quiet decision that morning, the one none of them ever expected.